back. It's time to go to school. It's not uncommon for me to run into a lot of educators out there. And of course, this being spring break over the past month. So I just corralled, got a couple of professors here and a high school history teacher or civics. And the first guy just quit academia to write books. He's trying to make more money and reach more people through his books than in the classroom. And the second one's a economics professor at Alabama. I like this because, I get to, people bitch a lot about in colleges. And so getting to speak to the people that are in the inside, find out exactly what's going on to me is some pretty good insight. Not all the teachers are left-wing maniacs. And of course, I'm going to attract the ones that aren't. So it gives you some hope. So the routine. You like it, you care, you share. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and if you have, well, hit it again. And then go buy one of my damn designs, which I really need that. Go check out my show. A couple of you mentioned that I should put the subscriptions in the videos and all. And be quite honest, I have no idea how in the hell to do that. And I really, the amount of time I got, I just don't have the time to learn. But they are in the description. You can go to my website. It's easy enough, badassunclesam.com, and then there's the shop button, and it goes directly to my shop. Or my Patreon button, and you can become a patron. Thank you very much. God bless you. Let's get on the streets with this one. What are you doing now? What are you doing in
PhD in history?
Oh, terrific!
Yeah, then I was a professor, but I have a book coming out called Lightning Sky. It's about World War II. And so
here, let me ask you a few questions.
Anybody who studies history can see that this country is going in the wrong direction in a lot of ways. I've done a lot of research in communist Romania. I don't have a lot of answers, but
well, I mean, you're a professor of history. At least you got most than the lay people. You know that the Electoral College isn't a real college.
Yeah.
I mean, there was an interview the other day on.
They say it was a college.
Yeah, they were going asking people on the street. Well, yeah. What are they going to do with the professors and people that are on the Electoral College if they let it go? People are going, I don't know. Guess they're going to find another college. Not one person. It wasn't a setup. It was like
hilarious.
Every person they talked to was like going off the chart. So where are you a professor of history?
I was a professor at St. Andrews, University of St. Andrews in Scotland. Then I was a professor in Kansas City and Oklahoma. And so I'm originally from Alabama, and my wife's family lives here in New Orleans. We're going to move here.
Okay.
And so we're full-time writers now, making more writing than teaching. And the World War II Museum here is phenomenal, as you know. They've stood behind us.
Why'd you leave academia?
You know what? The cliche, those who can do, those who can't teach. I've always hated that cliche, but there's something to it. Make 6 figures writing for the popular mass market, the trade. When I wrote for the academic market, you sell 500 books, 1,000 books. So the reach, the influence, I think is better.
So you felt like you had to do more?
Yeah, you go to the top of the academic world and then you want to hit the masses. You want to incarnate it, the common person. That's what real scholarship should do, I think. And so politics, I've flirted with it off and on. I've never been heavily involved other than voting, but I saw you out here the other day and some moron he didn't know anything. He was trying to make an argument, and I was like, man, good for that, good for you, good for that guy. Getting out here and preserving American values. 80 years ago, the people in the quarter would roll over in their grave if they saw the state of our country. So.
Well, this is, again, like a talk show radio up at the walls. It's like if you're going to educate people, this is a great place to do it,
absolutely, man.
So, because you get to reach people out here. I mean, people get in ruts. If you're a liberal, you're going to go to liberal channels and listen to them, or, But here, it's a shotgun effect. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't know what's going to happen.
I've been on the Glenn Beck show, Fox News, done interviews with all these guys, and you got a lot of supporters. I hope you feel it around here.
Oh, no, I do. I myself, of course, because of what I'm doing, I've been on Alex Jones' show and
It's cool.
and a few others locally and whatnot. But I tend to see, and I know you correct me, you tell me what you see, because I like, this is it. It's more interested in other people's perspectives. I have my own opinions.
What do you see?
Course. I'm starting to see a pushback in the sense that the left has gone too far.
In what way?
Infanticide, the Green New Deal, Jesse Smollett. I mean, I'm not talking to liberals out here that can't defend these things. I'm still liberal, but okay, can you defend the Green New Deal?
Right.
No. How about infanticide? No. How about the censorship? Yeah, that disturbs me. Well, then what are you calling yourself a liberal?
Exactly.
So, you're familiar with hashtag walkaway?
Actually, no.
Check it out.
I will.
During the election, there was a New York gay, liberal, millennial who was listening to, both sides and made a few comments on Facebook and whatnot. Trump makes some sense here. I'd like to see that happen. All of a sudden, he got to, like, you Nazi, blah, 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 right, blah, blah, blah. Because, no, you understand, I'm a gay, I'm a New York liberal. No. And they wouldn't let up. So he said, that does it. So he made this video called Why I'm Walking Away from the Democratic Party.
Is that right? I love that. Okay.
And so hashtag walk away.
Boom! Yeah, I'm sure.
Just thousands and thousands of people came around, and said you made video. You can get on and watch, go to YouTube, do a hashtag walk away, and you'll see. You can spend hours listening to people's stories of why they're leaving the left. So, and as a professor, that things swing. I mean, there's pushbacks.
They oscillate.
Yeah, they oscillate back and
You're
forth.
right.
And my take now is, in the past, of course, we didn't have the instant communication we have now. So things still seep through. People still would, after a while, see through the bullshit.
That's exactly right.
And start pushing back the other way. Well, the pushbacks are happening quicker now.
Interesting. Why is it? Because of social media?
Yeah, because of the internet, because of the instant access information that we can get. Alternative news sites. Right, back in InfoWars and Stefan Molyneux and WorldNet Daily and Zero Hedge and all these other independent agencies that people can go to now. You certainly see a lot more truth than they get from these guys. So I think this is an X factor that I don't think anybody really knows.
Fascinating.
What this effect.
Technology, you're saying, has sped up the kind of pendulum effect.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what would have happened if we had the internet during the Kennedy assassination.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Sure enough. That's fascinating. The dissemination of information.
Yeah, so it's a lot quicker now. I mean, for the days up, you got, if somebody does something stupid, you got memes within a couple of hours all over the internet. This is why they're trying to control the internet and why they're trying to go ahead and come down on it. I mean, in England right now, they just passed the hate law on the internet speed.
Did they?
Oh yeah.
I tell my liberal friends, you know what, you want to go, first of all, get really sick, cancer, get sick, and go to England and try out the NHS. Try it out for chronic pain, and you'll come flying back to America for healthcare, privatization, all of it. It's ignorance, millennials.
Of course. Well, you know that as a professor. It's the ignorance that the powers that be feed off of. There was a KGB agent that defected in 58. Watch his interview on YouTube. It's a great interview. It's over 3 hours long. He says, if you're going to take down Western civilization, the way to do it, and what the plan we had to bring down America, it's a 40-year plan. And the first thing we did is infiltrate the school systems.
Is that right?
And you indoctrinate socialism into the academia, which is why we have professors now that are Antifa.
It's true. It's true. That's what Hitler did, the youth movement.
He said, you give me someone the age of 3, they're mine for life.
I'm only 37, and I recognize that the more I know that I don't know much at all.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you.
So I'm in, every time I come by, I'll say hi to you. And my name's Christian George, by the way.
Michael DeBerry, Christian George. A pleasure. I would love to get more of your intake on, what books are you writing now? What are your subjects?
So in 4 weeks, we come out, my wife and I write together. It's called Lightning Sky. It's a true story about a pilot in 1944 who was shot down over Greece. His dad finds out that he's missing, he's POW, and he gets on a boat and goes to Germany, learns German, and finds his kid at Dachau and actually breaks him out of Dachau, brings him home. Then he dies. The father dies. So this sacrifice, I just look at that generation, and it's no wonder they're called the greatest freaking generation. And they couldn't wait to go to war. They were lying about their age to get to war. These kids don't know anything about that. So I have a lot of respect for you and for you.
We're victims of comfort.
Yeah.
That's what we are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love how you wear your collar up. I'm a Victorian scholar, and that collar didn't turn down until early 20th century. So I love it. So, Michael, a pleasure.
Chris, all right. Yeah, I look forward again.
Your name. You know what your name means, by the way.
Tell me.
Michael, the guardian of the high places.
Yes.
And man, you guard this place.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, have a good day, bro.
Yeah, I've been trying to get some liberals to go ahead and give me an answer for it. I mean, it's not there for us.
Working for it?
We know what that is. But, I'm here to try to just, stick it to the liberals. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what it's. Where are you from?
We're from Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah. What do you do there?
I'm a university professor.
And what do you teach?
Stats and finance. How to make money and how to confuse people with numbers.
There's a woman you might want to check out. I met her out here. A little black lady came up, started looking at my work. We got to talk. She's brilliant. I said, who the hell are you? She goes, I'm Professor Iris Mack. MIT, Harvard, Enron, recruited by Larry Summers to work in Wall Street. She stood out here for an hour and gave a class to anybody that stopped and listened, and how Obama screwed up the economy. Brilliant.
So she's an economics professor?
Physics, math.
Physics, math, okay.
Teaches at Tulane, but she's on her 4th book now. When she was working for Larry Summers, she found out what a crook he was and blew the whistle on him. She blew the whistle on the derivatives fraud. She was one of the first people to do that. They blackballed her. Well, she's tenacious as hell. You don't stop a little black woman that's self-made, no affirmative action, right? None of that. Right. So, she came back and wrote a book about it called The Wall Street Bailout for Main Street.
Right.
Became the #1 bestseller for wealth management.
Okay.
You want to check her out. She's really...
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, and she's got several websites, and one of them is about helping students and teachers who teach math.
Right.
The economics of.
That's kind of my area, yeah.
Yeah, and she's on her 4th book. Her specialty is energy trading. So right now, her 4th book, which should be published by now, is defining the terms for energy trading for lay people. So, we know what the hell they're talking about. So she's very, very cool. I highly recommend you check her out. But I don't know, universities as a whole, and she has to deal with it up there too, because they're super liberal. That's why she hardly teaches her anymore.
Well, business is kind of the last bastion of conservatism. We have the dean of our business school. Years ago, we were hiring for a faculty position in finance. And we had this guy come in, and he was nervous. He was fresh out of a PhD program. He was probably 28-ish, 29-ish. So we took him to lunch, tried to loosen him up. Local barbecue place, trying to get him to let him know it's relaxed and everything. And so our dean asked him, he said, do you watch a lot of TV? And the kid was so nervous. I was like, kid, he was 28, 29. And he says, well, I like to watch a lot of the news channels. He said, well, what do you watch? Well, I don't know whether he was just nervous, and he said he watched CNN. And it's just like we kind of laughed, so we got back and finished the interview. And our dean said, damn, I sure hate that. I said, why was that? He said, I like that old boy. I was considering hiring him until he said he watched the Communist News Network.
So a guy came
It
by.
was just kind of tongue-in-cheek. He really did like him. He just didn't have enough. He just didn't have enough experience. We had a lot of people.
Guy came by here yesterday wearing a T-shirt. Says, I don't get my news from CNN for the same reason that I don't eat out of my toilet.
Right. Well, I call it in class. I call it the Clinton News Network and the Communist News Network.
Yeah,
they all, of course, in business, I would say 80 to 85% of our students are, even the African American students are a little bit on the conservative side. Hence the field. Finance and CPAs, and we get a few that'll want to start a debate over the whole.
Well, CNN
it's kind of fun.
CNN and NBC over the past week, of course, have plummeted because the whole Russian gate fell through.
Of course,
which is what they were.
They were banking the whole farm.
Yeah, they were sailing there. That was their ship they were sailing on. And
so is this just kind of a pet project of yours, or is this something that's
it started out as a pet project? Now it's like full time.
Okay.
I mean, it's like
just kind of a personal hobby or interest that kind of spun into.
It all started out one day. This is when Obama got in. I did this in the back of my bike and put up a sign that said Obama is Bush on steroids.
Right.
And I went out kind of with a little bit of trepidation, as this is a little cesspool. I didn't know it. Oh, this car screeches. Comes back, and it's a middle-aged black woman, right? She rolls down her window, and she goes, I've been saying the same thing. I went, So, and then I started working for a political satirical rag here after Katrina.
Satirical.
Yeah, and it was called the New Orleans Levy. We don't hold anything back.
I've heard of that.
Oh, yeah. And
kind of a weekly paper.
It came out once a month.
Okay,
yeah,
once a month.
Yeah, once a month. But it became wildly popular. And I actually had politicians afraid of me. I loved it. It was a lot of fun.
Right.
And so then I said, well, let me just take it to the street. Let me just take my artwork to the street and film it and see what happens. Mm-hmm. And ever since I've done it, it's gone like, it's crazy. I mean,
did you ever watch that series on HBO? It still comes on every once in a while about the post-Katrina thing. It was like the Spike Lee film. It was like 4 parts or whatever. That still comes on every once in a while. And my dad goes back and looks. Of course, I think that came out maybe in 07, 08, somewhere in that range. Dad said all that is true. All these people, saying, oh yeah, the government went and knocked a hole in the levee and flooded the place. I'm sitting there thinking like, geez, these people really believe this stuff. I mean,
well, this one guy comes by.
Every time Dad watches it, he says, this is the damnedest thing I've ever seen. It's more stupid now, 10, 12 years later, than it was then.
Well, they did catch red-handed. One of the things is true, because this was in the local news here.
Right.
Red-handed, they caught FEMA cutting the police emergency lines.
Right. Okay.
As the storm was coming in.
Okay.
And
but what all these rubes don't understand, they said, well, they didn't flood the French Quarter. I said, the French Quarter's high ground.
Yeah. None of this.
That's going to be the last thing that floods. I mean, it could flood, obviously. The whole place.
Yeah, if you know the geography here, it's
right.
It's a bowl,
Of course.
Yeah. So, it was a mid-city that got all the damage and near the lake and all around there.
I just like your whole thing. I just think it's interesting. It's fun.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, I've been having a ball. I mean, if you go to the back of this get out of jail free card from Hillary Clinton.
Oh, that's from the Monopoly game.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can see my YouTube channel.
Oh, there it is.
And the conversations I have out here.
So that's you, Michael?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they cross the board. I mean, obviously, I've been speaking to a lot of educators over the past few weeks.
So you have a blog site? Is that what you have? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And but I'm a magnet for military, police, government workers. So I'm constantly getting a lot of inside, conversations going on.
My father's retired from the energy. He's retired from Southern Company, which is, Alabama Power, Gulf Power, Mississippi Power to a certain extent. So that's kind of his background. But when he started out, he worked he worked a union scale job. He was technically, everybody went and voted for Wallace because that's who your people told you to vote for.
Yeah.
And then as he got a little older, he realized.
Did you see the other side? I got more disrespectful ones over there. Check them out.
But one of my father's friends, my dad went on into management, had 41 years service, and one of his friends, he kind of stayed out of the management side of it. He just kind of did the typical 9 to 5, whatever. He didn't want to get involved in all the politics of that. And so we'll joke all the time. He'll say, damn Obama in office and Congress Democrats taking over Congress. And Dad will always joke with him. He said, all those dues you paid that year, you went straight to AFL-CIO and helped elect it. He said, oh, that's not true. He said, sure, it's true.
The biggest fraud that ever happened to this country was
what's the old saying in literature that for those who believe, no proof is necessary. For those who don't believe, no proof is possible. So once people make up their mind, it's hard to.
But and we're still suffering, obviously, heavily from the Obama. I mean, he didn't leave Washington. He's got the mansion.
Right.
He's still got all his operatives, and that's one of the reasons they let Smollett go, because he was he was heavily involved with the Obama, and Obama orchestrated a lot of these false flags and attacks.
One of my colleagues, he teaches in Florida now, but he taught with us for several years, and he's kind of a free market economist. And every time there would be a natural disaster, that would be part of his lectures about should the government restrict what could be charged for generators, bags of ice, things of that nature. He's trying to teach them the economic theory that recovery will be faster if you don't let the government dictate that they can't raise prices, because somebody's sitting in Miami with a truck full of generators, and if they restrict, okay, you can only sell these for 20% above what you normally, they're not going to drive the truck all the way to Miami and replenish the goods. But if they say, okay, you go up there, and if people are willing to pay $500 for a $200 generator, free market dictates what people are propensity to pay. And he's trying to teach them that just the concept. The whole free market thing doesn't really work in the real world. There's always going to be some marginalization of
the real
standards,
truth
like
were known about energy production. There would be a revolution.
It's purposely sandbagged. There's no doubt.
There's a documentary. Of course, you're familiar with Procter & Gamble.
Of course. Yeah.
Foster Gamble, heir to that vast fortune, groomed to be a top 0.0000001%.
Right.
Has an epiphany as a young man and goes, I am surrounded by psychopaths. The elites are insane.
Right.
So he broke from the elitist agenda, and he makes this documentary called Thrive.
Okay.
The first thing he exposes in this documentary is the suppression of true free energy machines derived from basically Tesla technology.
Sure.
And how Morgan was financing them. And then when, Tesla came in and said, here it is, and Morgan went, well, where's the meter? He says, no, here it is. They just put this in their home, and it's free energy forever. And that's when they burned down his laboratory, and put him in obscurity.
Well, I laugh all the time about like New York State. They talk about they put out those no contract bids for anybody who had a history of any company that had anything to do with slavery. Well, they figured out at some point that basically that wipes out all the banks. They can't fund anything, and then they changed that whole policy because J.P. Morgan and every bank in New York City has ties to that in their history. So, you're going to abolish everybody that. Yeah. Then they said, well, we don't lend you any money. They're like, oh, forget that ordinance.
It's the same thing with drugs. If that's why they won't legalize drugs, because if the banks are so heavily involved in the illicit money of the drug cartels.
Of course. That's what built Miami. That built the skyline.
Yeah. So, oh God.
people now, they pay people pay this big money, and they go down to South Beach, and they stay in all those old hotels. It's the Art Deco, and people spend big money in the modeling industry and all that. That whole place was like refurbed because of the drug industry and also because of the film industry. So now it's nouveau to go down there and do that. But that's where people went in the 50s and 60s to die. I mean, hell, nobody went to go to fucking Miami. I mean, a bunch of old people sitting around in lawn chairs down there. I mean,
I love what Johnny Carson said about Florida when Johnny Carson, he said back in the day, he says, a home in the newlywed and the nearly dead.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, it was.
So, are you out here pretty much every day? Or
no, I
kind of weekend?
I couldn't take it. I mean, it's all maybe 3 days a week.
So you're technically retired, and then it just.
Yeah, but it's, this, as I said, between the artwork and the.
My father's busier now than
I am.
I'm working.
I'm working harder now, longer now than I did when I had jobs. When I was working.
I'm going to take a look at your website and everything.
All right. Pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, check out Iris Mack, too. I think you'll be impressed with her.
Yeah, a friend of mine's a local attorney. A friend of my girlfriend and I, she works for one of the law firms here. She does maritime law. And she did her LLM at Tulane. And so a lot of those people, professors and law students and degrees from there, they all know each other. So I bet she knows it.
Yeah, Mac, just like the truck.
Take care.
All right. High school teacher.
I teach them this stuff here.
Really?
Yeah.
You're a history teacher or civics?
Yeah, I'm teaching civics next year. This year I'm AP Euro, Western Civ, and Economics.
Will they even allow you to?
I teach at a Catholic high school, so I can pretty much do what I want.
Really?
Yeah. Catholic high schools are still open-minded enough to let a conservative be on the staff. Now, I'm not saying we're not stacked with liberal teachers, but my kids go to a liberal, they go to a public school, and I got to correct everything those teachers are teaching them on a daily basis. It is absolutely stunning.
I know. I get to speak.
That is why this whole country is changing, because of what's happening in school. And it starts actually in elementary, but by the time they hit middle school, they're being indoctrinated into this crap here. It is unbelievable what my kids bring home from their public school. We sit at the dinner table every night, and I just got to shake my head and tell them what's really happening.
Well, thank God they got you there to do that. I mean, because
but most parents don't do that for their kids, And then these kids get off into college. Look what's happening at college. Half of the college campuses believe in socialism. High school kids do too now. They're being convinced they're giving things for free. They think free education, free college tuition. They don't even freaking realize who's actually paying for it. And they'll ultimately pay for it with higher taxes their whole life. They don't even think that. They just stand there with their hands out. If you're going to give me something for free, I'll take it. Get your ass up out of bed. Well, you go to, the way Dad's taught us. You got to get out there and do it yourself.
Well, as a history teacher, this isn't the first time this siren song of socialism has been played.
Yeah.
And how it plays out. And, we're victims of comfort here, so that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, think Rahm Emanuel's outrage at the Smollett thing is genuine?
If he is, he's sticking his chest out at the last moment as he's heading out of office, because he's on his way out the door.
Yeah.
So now he's going to try to play the tough guy. If this happened if he was still running for office, he'd be kissing up to those people down there and not take a stand like he said the other day. He said this was a whitewash of the whole justice system. The only guy I have respect for is the African-American chief of police. I think his name's Johnson or something like that. He's up there speaking the truth every day. He is pissed off. They know what happened.
A whole bunch
it wouldn't surprise me at all if they don't actually have film of what happened. They said they couldn't find it. Well, that whole damn city is under surveillance.
What I'm looking at is, all right, they have the brothers, they have the magazines that were used to send the letters.
Yeah, the FBI still might get them. Yeah.
Well,
that's a federal crime. The FBI are still after him for that.
But then is the FBI tainted?
Yeah, correct. But they were with Comey. They were under there with Comey. So if they're still
I haven't seen Barr do anything.
Yeah, well, he's only been in for a couple months, but
it's not like the crimes.
You got some guy coming.
It's not like the crimes weren't on the shelf.
Yeah.
You know, been known for a long time.
Right.
We've known that these things were being. I mean, you know, it's not like he came in blind. You and I could indict these people for what we know right now.
Right. I just want this thing to balance out, be a little bit fair. Because right now, all this shit's coming down. Those guys are walking away free. Hillary's walking away free. Smollett's walking away free. Even this Shift guy and all these guys that came out for 2 years lying to the American public. Every single night they came on CNN, lying, throwing this propaganda crap out there to the American people. I'll bet you any money, still to this day, 60-70% of Democrats still believe there was collusion with Russia. They just will not give it up. All the proof is there that nothing happened. And they're still promoting this thing.
As a teacher, you got a tough road to hoe, brother. You got to go up against the propaganda, the goods, you know, and everything.
I will tell you though, I influence I figured it out, about 120 kids every year. That's how many that pass through my class. Some of them are all year students, but then I get semesters, they come and go. So
I'll give you some hope. Go to my YouTube channel. I just posted a video because it's been spring break.
Yeah.
So I've been talking to a ton of students and educators. I tell you that the last video I put up was nothing but students got their heads on right.
Yeah.
Even with all the indoctrination and whatnot, they see right through it.
Yeah. What's your channel? I'll look it up.
It's on the back of that card I gave you.
I got it, my man. All right.
All right, brother.
Keep up the good work. I wear my hat with pride every weekend. I'm out around Chicagoland with that.
Cool. All right.
All right. Take care, buddy.
So, did you learn anything? I'd like to read that guy's book when it comes out. It sounds like a very good, interesting story. Can't get enough World War II. All right, well, that's it. Thanks for stopping by, and I'm starting to catch up on my videos now. And I'll be going out of the street and get a whole bunch more for you here real soon. If the weather holds, unless it screw me up. So, see you on the streets. I'll be back with you soon.